Hello children, today we shall be learning how the nation is going to be visualized. So dear children, the revolutionary artists in 18th centuries and 19th centuries, they found a way to personify the nations. So they are using different kind of allegory in order to personify the nations here. So here they are using different kind of objects, different kind of symbols in order to represent a nations here. Basically, they are taking the concepts of female figure, and here the female figure is representing the nations. So in real life, it is not referring to any particular woman in real life, only to give the abstract ideas of the nations. They are utilizing the female figures here. So dear children, here we understood that they are using different kind of abstract ideas of the nations in the form of female figure, which is giving a abstract idea of the nations here. So dear children, here in order to unite the people together, they use different kind of allegory or different kind of objects here, and they are such as broken chain. The broken chain is standing for freedom, and the second one is red cape. The red cape, it stands for liberty, and the third one is blindfolded woman. It is standing for justice, and the fourth one is oak leaves. It is standing for heroism activities. Then the rising sun, it is talking about a beginning of a new era. Then the cockade, it is talking about the revolutionary feelings. So dear children, here we understood that the French artists of 18th centuries and 19th centuries, they are using all these personifications, all these allegory in order to represent the nations, because they are trying to relate the life of the peoples with the nations. They are trying to create a sense of feelings towards the nations. They are trying to develop a sense of unity in the nations, because through the clear objects, they are inviting the peoples to join the national struggles. They are uniting the peoples and remembering the national struggles. So this is how the French artists of 18th centuries and 19th centuries, they are using the abstract ideas in order to represent a nations. So dear children, you must be knowing that in Indian society during the freedom struggles movements, in order to create the collective identity in the nations, the freedom fighters of Indian society, they use the concept of Bharat Mata. And when we use the concept of Bharat Mata, it used to bring a sense of dedications. It used to bring a sense of commitment towards the nations. It used to bring a sense of strong feelings towards the nations. It develops a feelings of patriotism in order to do something for the nations. The same way we see the French artists of 18th centuries and 19th centuries, in order to involve the peoples in the nationalism struggles movement, they used all these allegory in order to unite the peoples together, so that the peoples will come together, join their hands together, and they will make their nations. They will fight for their nations. They will fight for liberty. They will fight for justice. They will fight for freedom. They will fight for beginning a new era in the society. They will fight for their nations, so that they could establish republic systems in the society, in order to create a sense of strong dedications among the peoples. The French artists, they created different kind of images. They created the abstract ideas in the female figure, and they try to develop the sense of unity among the peoples, so that the peoples will understand that it is their nations and they have a duties and responsibility to form the nations, to make the nations. In order to do such kind of things, they develop a sense of visualizing the nations. So dear children, as these revolutionary artists, they are using different kind of allegory in order to relate the life of the peoples. They are using such kind of ideas in order to create enthusiasms as well as dedications of the peoples towards the nations. So when such kind of ideas will be created, peoples will have strong dedications for the nations. People will visualize the nations in terms of having the abstract ideas in their minds. So in order to have such kind of clear abstract ideas in mind, they are using all this allegory, and all this allegory, it is conveying or it is sending a message to the peoples to come forward and to protect their nations. So it is a kind of national struggles. So it is a kind of national struggles in which the artists are inviting peoples to join the national struggles and also to fight for their nations. So dear children, here we understood that in France as well as in Germany, different allegory were used. In France, the revolutionary artist, they used the most popular name, and she was Christian Marianne. And also in Germany, the most common names was the Germania, who became the allegory of the nations here. So similarly in Germany, dear children, we see the allegory, and the allegory is Germania, who is becoming the allegory of the nations. So in order to spread the ideas of creating the abstract ideas in the society, in different areas, there were statues which were erected, especially in public places, in order to remind the peoples or public with the national symbols of unity, as well as to pursue them to identify themselves with the nations. So here at public places, they erected different kind of statues. They created different kind of statues in order to remind the peoples. And in order to remind the peoples, they erected such kind of statues in public squares, so that the peoples will see them and they will have one kind of dedications towards the nations. And when they will have such kind of visions in their mind, they will be identifying with the nations and they will protect their nations. And also we see it is a way of connecting the life with the peoples. So here the artists are using such kind of allegory in order to connect the life of the peoples with the nations. And when the life of the peoples will be connected here, the peoples will come forwards and they will protect their nations. So dear children, here we understood that when we are visualizing the nations, here we are using different kind of allegory, we are using abstract ideas in order to personify the nations here. Similarly, we see the freedom struggles which was there in Indian society during that time. Also we see the freedom fighter, they use the concept of Bharat Mata, and when we hear the word Bharat Mata, it used to bring a kind of dedications, a kind of strong feelings, a kind of patriotism feelings. So in French artists also in 18th centuries and 19th century, they used the clear abstract ideas in order to create enthusiasm among the peoples, in order to create a feelings of dedications towards the people, so that the peoples will come forward and they will fight for their nations. So dear children, here we understood that this is how the French artists as well as the revolutionary artists in 19th centuries as well as in 18th centuries, in 19th centuries, they used all their allegory in order to relate the life of the peoples. Thank you so much for listening to me.